What's up, guys? It's Josh here, back with another Kansas City Chiefs related video, and tonight we're doing my first Q&A in a while. First one that we've done pretty much since before the NFL draft, so a lot has happened. We even had a little bit of news today, but yeah, I really just wanted to do a live video for you guys and take some questions and stuff and just talk football because it's been a while since we've done that. So I'm going to wait for our audience to build up a little bit and get some questions in the chat, comments, anything you guys want to talk about. Go ahead, start putting it in there into the chat, and we can get started. But yeah, just going to wait a few minutes for some people to pour in here. But let's go over some of the news. So the Chiefs, the schedule came out for the Chiefs yesterday, so we know a lot of their games now, so we can discuss some of the schedule. And the Chiefs also made a move today. They traded for Vikings cornerback Mike Hughes, and I had a chat with Luke Braun in my latest video, who covers the Vikings for the Locked On Vikings podcast, and he had some interesting things to say about Mike Hughes. So make sure you go and check out this video after we're done tonight here. I'd really appreciate that. And there's some good stuff in there about Mike Hughes. But as more of you start pouring in here, like I said, just start leaving your questions in the chat. Let's get a discussion going, questions, comments, anything Chiefs related. And also, I can take super chats now. So, hey, never a bad thing to send me a super chat and support the channel. Really does help out a lot. But yeah, so like I said, just waiting for some questions and stuff to get in there. Lego My Ego's already chatting up, so he's talking about the Mike Hughes move when he says, "I see nothing but upside to this." Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. I mean, you're bringing in a former first-round pick. Veach loves bringing in former high-round picks and turning them into productive players. And it's interesting because I think Mike Hughes is joining a group that's, kind of filled with a lot of players that have a similar profile to him, guys that haven't proven a whole lot, that are question marks, like DeAndre Baker, Charvarius Ward, up and down guys who have struggled with injuries and that kind of thing. So you're just adding another guy where if they're all to reach their full potential, you could have a pretty nice cornerback group. And they're all super young is the thing too. Like Mike Hughes is only like 23 or 24 years old. Ward's only like 24 years old. DeAndre Baker's super young. So you got a really young cornerback group that you're working with here. So yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting move. I like it. It's low risk, high reward. You're only swapping a 7th round pick to get him, 7th or 6th. I would have to go back and look, but it's a pretty good move there. I mean, you're not losing anything if he doesn't work out. Yeah, and I wanted to discuss the week 1 game that the Chiefs have against the Cleveland Browns. They're set to take on the Cleveland Browns week 1 of the NFL season. And I think that's going to be a really good game. And the Cleveland Browns are going to be a tough opponent. I believe that the Browns had the best offseason of anyone that the Chiefs faced in the playoffs. As far as taking a step forward, I thought they did more to close the gap than the Buffalo Bills. I thought they made 2 really good signings in Troy Hill and John Johnson, the former Rams. As Terry says in the chat, go Rams. No, we do not like the Rams. But the Cleveland Browns picked up 2 of the former Rams defensive backs, and they are really loading up that secondary. I mean, they already had Denzel Ward, who was really nice. Still don't know who's going to cover Travis Kelce, but that's going to be an interesting game when it happens. But I still expect the Chiefs to win that game because it wasn't even necessarily close. But we'll have to see. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. Browns have an OU QB, so they suck. Baker Mayfield, yeah, he's pretty meh. What do you think about the Will Parks addition? I like the Will Parks edition because if you look at his overall resume, he seems like a guy that was a solid safety for the Broncos when he was there. Based on Twitter and going on there, a lot of Broncos fans seem to like Will Parks as a solid kind of third safety. He can come up, make tackles in the run game. His pass defense kind of took a dip when he was in Philadelphia this past season, but it also looks like that he struggled with injuries So if he's healthy, he could compete for the third safety spot, give Dan Sorensen a little bit of competition in camp. It's not a guarantee that he makes a roster, but if he does, I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table. But yeah, I did like that signing. So yeah, if you guys just want to keep, for those of you who just got here, if you want to keep putting questions and stuff in the chat, just chatting Chiefs tonight. So go ahead and put questions, comments, anything like that in the chat, and we will go ahead and discuss. Because it's been a while since I've done one of these, like I said, because I haven't done one since before the draft, and there's been a lot to talk about. I made a video today, though, or I uploaded a video today about the possibility of the Chiefs bringing back defensive end Justin Houston. I'm not sure what you guys thought about that one, but I would really like that because I still think the Chiefs need a solid veteran at the defensive end position, because I like the Joshua Kando pick. Like I said, I think he's got a lot of upside, but you're kind of making a leap of faith by saying that he's going to be a day one contributor. I like Taco Charlton. I like Mike Dana, but are they ready to be relied on yet? I'm not sure. And then Frank Clark, you guys know how I feel about Frank Clark. I have my issues with Frank Clark, so I would love to get another veteran defensive end to compete in there, and bringing Justin Houston back to Kansas City would be an interesting move, especially because really Brett Veach, Justin Houston has, I don't know why I said Brett Veach, but Justin Houston has had really similar numbers to Frank Clark over the past couple years. So if you are a fan of Frank Clark, then bringing in Justin Houston would just be like having another Frank Clark on the other side of the line, but he'd be playing for a lot less money. So that would be the appealing thing, is that you'd be bringing in Justin Houston and he'd be playing at a much lesser number. So I would really like that. And I think the Chiefs need to bring him home and win a ring with them. I think that would be awesome. Voodoo says, they call New England for Ward for JC Jackson trade right now. Agree. If they're willing to give up JC Jackson for Charvarius Ward, absolutely. Although I think you'd have to throw a little bit more in that deal to spice them up. Is JC Jackson available? I think I heard some people talking about a possible JC Jackson move, but I'm not sure if the Patriots totally want to trade him, but maybe Ward and day 2 pick, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how realistic that is, though. And by the way, even though I bag on Ward a lot, he still provides a little bit of something for this team. He's still a longer, more physical press man corner that you can put in situations where he's going up against another big physical receiver. So I still like Ward for some reasons, but he's very much some Chiefs fans, I think, are a little too high on him. So yeah, it's whatever. Lego My Ego says, why did we get rid of a very capable quarterback and Tamu and keep Bo Pete Keys? Lego, I really like Jordan Tamu, as you can tell. I mean, I got the Battlehawks poster in the background, so I love Jordan Tamu. And yeah, he is a very capable quarterback, and them getting rid of Tamu makes me feel like they think Shane Buechele, the undrafted free agent that they sign, is going to, be a nice developmental quarterback, someone that gives them something more than Tamu. But I'm not sure I necessarily agree. I think Tamu is a very well-rounded quarterback. He's a good dual threat quarterback. He can run the ball a little bit. He ran the ball a lot with the Battlehawks, and he's very poised in the pocket. He's got a lot of, he's a very mature quarterback, can make a lot of tough throws, tight window throws as well. I really liked him on the Battlehawks, but he'll definitely land a job somewhere else, I think, on a practice squad if the Chiefs don't bring him back at any point. I really like Tamu, and I hope he does well. As far as keeping Bo Pete Keys, I still think the Chiefs like Bo Pete Keys, and also they still need help on special teams, and Bo Pete Keys was someone that played a lot of special teams last year, so I think that's the reason for keeping him. It'll be interesting to see how he does in camp, though. I think the Chiefs are kind of expecting bigger things out of him. And then Lego My Ego also asks, Brett Veach is a genius. With your age, dude, to definitely get something else in return. Yep, definitely. Terry says Blues 1-7-3. Bring on Vegas. You'll have to talk to Connor about that. He's not a huge Blues fan. He likes Vegas. Sorry, I got to your guys' questions in a second. What's up for those of you that are just hopping in? Love to see you guys here tonight. Voodoo says, I like this UDFA class a lot. I think Riley Cole, Zane Anderson, Devin Key, and Boodle all think they could all make this team, and that's rare for 4 UDFAs. Yeah, it's always, UDFAs are always an interesting case because there's always so many every year that the Chiefs fall in love with, or Chiefs fans fall in love with, and they end up not making the team. Because you have to keep in mind, it's rare that UDFAs ultimately do make the team. Some of them will live on the practice squad for a while. But that being said, I do agree. I love this UDFA class. Zane Anderson, I hear, is kind of like a Dan Sorensen on steroids almost. Devin Key is a good cover 2 corner. Boodle is the Indiana. I think he was an Indiana defensive back. I know a lot of people are high on him. And then also another one that you didn't even mention, Malik Herring from Georgia. He's a good quick twitch defensive end that ended up getting hurt in the Senior Bowl, but could still end up being something. So all interesting pickups, and a lot of them have pretty good athletic profiles. Is Mike Hughes a starter? GFKC asks. I don't think so. If he reaches his if he reaches his full potential, yeah, he's a good starting cornerback in this NFL. Just the problem is he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy long enough to prove that at any point. He's still got a pretty small sample size in the league just because he hasn't been healthy all that much. But, if everything goes right, I think he'll definitely crack the top 3 or 4 of the depth chart in camp. So I'm looking forward to Mike Hughes and what he has to bring to the team. Nathan, what's up? Like I said earlier. And then Nathan says, Brett Reach, ? I think you jumped in right when I said that. That was an accident. I actually just misread the comment and said Brett Reach, but I know that's like a nickname he has for the people that don't like him. Maybe in his first draft, but we can't judge Brett by his first. He had too many needs, and not to mention he had Bob Sutton in his ear. Yeah, because that was before. I don't know if he had Bob Sutton in his ear, but yeah, it's still worth noting that Bob Sutton was the defensive coordinator going into that next year, and they were kind of in limbo as to what scheme they were going to run. Like Breeland speaks, I'm not even sure what scheme fit he was. But I will say, when I did the draft grade and Terry asked what was the grade for the Chiefs draft, if I had to give it a grade, personally, I give it like an A- or a B+. And honestly, I think this was one of Brett Veach's better drafts. In fact, I think this might have been his best draft yet. The only pick that I gave anything less than like a B- was the Kendo pick. I gave that one a C+ just because Kendo is he's such an that pick was based purely on upside. Like there's a chance that Kendo completely busts, whereas I feel like the rest of the Chiefs picks actually give you something. Like they all have high floors in my opinion. Like Nick Bolton, I think he's gonna contribute from day one. He's got a high floor. Creed Humphrey, I think he can start from day one, got a high floor and a high ceiling. Noah Gray, Cornell Powell, both guys that I think that can make some noise early. Lego My Ego says the Vibrators will go 7-10 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will go 9-8. Let's hope so. I hope the Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely miss the playoffs. You're just messing with me. Yeah, no, it's all good. I wasn't sure if you were in for that or not. Cosmo says, who's going to be the best running back on the Chiefs roster? I think you have to go Clyde. There's not really anyone else that I think would fit there. Now, I will say, I think Darrell Williams is super underrated and will give Clyde a run for his money if the Chiefs decide to use him in that way. But Jerick McKinnon, he also was signed as of recently. He's someone to watch. I think he's someone who could take a good chunk of the carries. That's got a little bit of speed. I really do like that pickup, but I think ultimately it's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though I was never a super big fan of the draft pick that was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm always going to hate the pick more than the actual player, but that's not to say Clyde isn't a good running back, because he is someone that can run in between the tackles, but is more of a finesse running back and can make guys miss. Nathan also says, I think CEH is going to be a beast. You want to take him with your fantasy? Yeah, I took Clyde with fantasy last year, and he had too many games that just didn't give me too many points, but I think he should do much better this year with the offensive line. Uh, Terry asks, do you think the AFC West is the best division? You know, I think the Broncos, really their quarterback situation is the only thing holding them back. But beyond that, they got a pretty nice team. I think they're going upwards. The Chargers are starting to look really good if they can stay healthy. It's just always a question if they can stay healthy. And the Raiders, I don't know what to say about the Raiders, but I do think the AFC West will have some really interesting teams this year. Now, if the Raiders get a new quarterback and the Broncos are to somehow pull off Aaron Rodgers trade, then yeah, you're quickly looking at one of the best divisions in football. But I think the best division is actually the NFC West, which includes your Rams, because I think the Rams are going to be really good. They're going to be really tough. I think the Cardinals did a lot to improve this offseason. The 49ers, if they get healthy again, should still be really good. Still fresh off a Super Bowl, really. I think the NFC West is going to be really tough. And I didn't even mention the Seahawks. I mean, yeah, that division is probably the best. Veach's 19, 20, and 21 drafts were really good, but I get people don't love the value of Clyde. Yeah, that's how I feel, but he's going to be elite. And I know Harbin hasn't panned out, but he's drafted very well, and I don't get the Veach slander. Yeah, I have my problems with a few Veach moves, but yeah, I think he's really redeemed himself. And really, I got to give him credit. I was really kind of upset with his offseason at one point when we were missing on a bunch of guys, like back when we missed on Juju and we missed on who else? Trent Williams. And Melvin Ingram. I was like, man, what the heck is going on? But he redeemed himself a ton. I love the Jaron Reed pickup. Love the Mike Hughes trade from today. I loved our draft. Yeah, Veach has done a great job. I got to give him credit. Lego My Ego says, does Darwin Thompson see the field in the regular season? Man, I don't think so. And that sucks because I like Darwin Thompson, and I think when he's been given limited opportunities to run the football, he's actually been pretty impressive. Although when he had that fumble, the Chiefs were like, yeah, we're not, like, the Chiefs completely lost faith in him. But there's been so many situations in where it's like, okay, the Chiefs, if they were ever going to use Darwin Thompson, like, now would be the time to use him. Like when Clyde got hurt and Le'Veon got hurt too, and like Darrell Williams is like the number one running back. Like at that point, they could have used Darwin. They didn't use Darwin. They've given us every possible sign that Darwin is not in their plans. So I'm going to say no. And honestly, I think it's a question that he even makes the roster. Cosmo asks, what is your Chiefs record prediction? I will say 13-4 or 14-3, at worst 12-5. If everyone stays healthy, there's no reason they shouldn't win 14 games. Especially with that offensive line, the improvements that they've made to the defensive line. Really, what they say about football, the game is won in the trenches. In the two position groups that the Chiefs made substantial upgrades are offensive line and defensive line. So they really did a lot to make sure that their issues from the Super Bowl were addressed. So yeah, yours is 14-2. Yeah, you got to remember they play 17 games though. But yeah, if it was still 16 games, I'd probably say 14-2. NFC West definitely the best. Yep, gotta agree. Yeah, I see you corrected yourself. Or you corrected Cosmo, but yeah. Lego My Ego says, is LDT gone in 2022 if he doesn't come back the same? And I say probably not. Honestly, I think LDT might be gone next year either way, even if he plays, back or kind of how he did in 2019. And his 2019 really wasn't super impressive. 2018, you got to go back to when he was playing really well, but then he broke his leg. But 2019 wasn't the best for him. He's still going to be a solid guard, but honestly, I think Kyle Long is going to win the right guard spot over him, at least at first. It might even be like a co-starter type of thing where they both play in and out, because Kyle Long has not really shown that he can stay healthy in recent years. And LDT, we have no idea what kind of football shape he's in. So that'll be an interesting camp battle to watch. But I don't think LDT will be here beyond next season. And they drafted Trey Smith, and I think they might address guard again in the future. So yeah, I don't think LDT is here long term, but I do still like what he brings to the table. Nathan says, I did not want Trent Williams. Yeah, when I saw the contract numbers, I was not a big fan. Or I was like happy that the Chiefs did not go and pay him that, because like they made him like the highest paid offensive lineman of all time. I'd much rather have Orlando Brown for like 5 years, 80 million than what Trent Williams got, you know? Cosmo says, in that case, 15-2. Okay, I like the optimism. I'm so much happier with Orlando Brown Jr. Me too, especially when you consider how much younger he is than Trent Williams. I really like that. He's got all pro potential still too. Trevor says, we had a serious Trent, but the offer of him was crazy. Yeah, I think Veach was in it to the end, but yeah, there's not too much you can do when a guy picks San Francisco over Kansas City and for that much money. And it's also where he was familiar too. Voodoo says, I'd take a flyer on Alshon Jeffrey. I cannot talk tonight. He could be a really good again if he's healthy, and could be the best available X out there. Yeah, he probably is one of the best available X receiver free agents. And, you know, I almost kind of forgot about him. But if he gets anywhere close to where he was in Chicago, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, worst you can do is sign him to like a 1-year deal and then bring him into camp, and it's like, oh, this guy isn't that good, and then you just move on, you know. But I do like the D.D. Westbrook idea, and that's something that I made a video on and forgot to mention at the beginning of the stream. I think D.D. Westbrook would be a nice addition, but we'll have to see if that one happens. But apparently Chiefs players are recruiting him. I wanted to do a post-June trade for a corner and a defensive end. Yeah, I think we might see some post-June 1 action from Brett Veach, and I think and I alluded to this in my offensive line video, but I do think that LDT, since we recently mentioned him, is someone that could become expendable if the Chiefs really like what they see out of Trey Smith. If Kyle Long, you know, outright wins that job, that LDT becomes expendable, and they still have Andrew Wiley too. So maybe they're like, you know what, maybe we don't need LDT anymore. The Chiefs actually save a couple of million from trading LDT in a post-June 1 trade, and maybe some team will need some guard help and like LDT, and maybe give this Chief something back in return. We'll have to see. We got so many linemen that it would be easy. Yeah, see, you just mentioned it. Yeah, there's so many offensive linemen, some of them that has some trade value. Nick Allegretti's another one. The Chiefs could definitely get something out of one of those guys. Trevor says, we need that depth. Yes, I definitely agree. We got depth on the offensive line though now, that's for sure, but we could use some extra depth at defensive back, although Veach has addressed defensive back recently. Wide receiver, we could use a little bit more depth, I think. But yeah, you never hurt adding depth. Terry says, I would like to see the Chiefs play a preseason game in STL. Yeah, wasn't there talks of that a couple years ago? I think there was talks of them having a preseason game or something, like an Edward Jones Dome or something like that. And then maybe if they build the soccer stadium, even though I'm not a soccer fan, if they build the soccer stadium, maybe they could play in the soccer stadium and people could go. I think that would be fun. Whoops, looks like I scrolled a little bit too far down. Can Darwin Thompson be a fullback? Dude has a ton of power that someone can utilize if running behind him. He does have a lot of power for a little guy, but I don't think he can be a fullback, especially since they already got Michael Burton. No way he would take away from him. I kind of want to trade off LDT. I think we get some value for him. Yeah, I totally agree. I actually made a trade idea video, or an acquisition idea, about getting Leighton Vander Esch from the Cowboys, since they declined his 5th-year option. Maybe the Cowboys need some help at guard and they give you Leighton Vander Esch for LDT. Like, that would be a really fair deal, something like that. We'll have to see though. I like the idea though. Kyle Long and maybe let Trey jump in there. Yep, I agree. Double DD says, have you seen Bashaud Breeland's tweet? Yeah, he tweeted something cryptic like, "Welp, there you go," or something like that. I guess he was pretty upset at the Mike Hughes move. When he tweeted that, the first impression I got is I guess the Chiefs just kind of have not really been talking to him. It seems like he wants to come back to the Chiefs a little bit, but they're not really too interested in bringing him back. And I think the Mike Hughes move like kind of all but shuts the door on Bashaud Breeland. I know some people tweeted that this doesn't necessarily close the door on Bashaud Breeland coming back, but it definitely didn't do anything to help it. So, yeah, I think Bashaud Breeland I think he either wants too much money or the Chiefs just don't want him back. But I don't know. It's interesting. I still kind of hope they bring him back, but we'll have to see. What do you think of the Raiders? Honest take. I'm a Raider fan. Raiders, they played the Chiefs really tough last year, and I admired their efforts against the Chiefs. Although they seem to not be a great team outside of that. It just seemed like they were a bad matchup for KC. But there's things to like about the Raiders, but it's and I'm not a Raiders fan, so like correct me if I'm wrong in this evaluation, but it seems like anytime the Raiders seem to be heading in the right direction somewhere or seem to, have, a position group that's really good, they just go in the complete opposite direction and tear everything down. Like their offensive line was a pretty sturdy unit and they just tore everything down. I do like their defensive line though. Yannick Ngakoue was a good signing. They made a lot of moves in the secondary too. They drafted like 3 safeties, so their secondary I think is going to be pretty good. They even drafted Tyree Gillespie, one of my guys, being a Mizzou fan. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Raiders. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest though, they still got Derek Carr at QB, and you have to take that into account. And it's going to be a worse O-line this year, so I see maybe like 8 or 9 wins if I'm being honest at best. I don't know, man. The Raiders, they confuse me a lot with some of their moves. Congrats on 1K. Thank you, Cosmo. Yeah, I posted a community post earlier about that. I really appreciate it. My channel has seen exponential growth over the past couple months. So yeah, I appreciate all of you for subscribing. Really means a lot. Going into the draft, Nick Bolton was a top 20 player for me, and I was hoping we could get him at 31. It was my dream pick then. We traded back and got Orlando Brown and still got him. Yeah, whenever I started first making my mock drafts, I had the Chiefs taking Nick Bolton at 31. Some of that is my Mizzou homerism, but yeah, I love Nick Bolton. And yeah, it was amazing that we got him at 58. Who I wanted us to get Diami Brown, the North Carolina receiver, at 58. But then when I saw Nick Bolton's name on the screen, man, I went crazy because I'm a Mizzou fan. I couldn't believe it. Like, it's been a while since the Chiefs have gotten him a former Mizzou guy. So, yeah, that was awesome to see. And I think he's going to be really good here. I honestly think Andrew Wiley gets traded. Yeah, that's another one. He could definitely get traded, especially since the Chiefs have loaded up on guard depth. Trevor says, I really think Bolton can win Defensive Rookie of the Year with hella tackles. We'll have to see. Defensive Rookie of the Year, that's high praise, but and he'll have to start taking more of the snaps from Hitchens for that to happen. But I definitely do think he'll make an impact. What does Breeland's tweet say? It said something like, "Well, there you go," right after the Chiefs acquired Mike Hughes. You can go check it out on his Twitter and make of it what you will. Nate says, "Let's get some more hype in here." Yeah, I'll try, man. I'll try. Ask me some more interesting questions. Hit that like button, guys. Let's get this chat rolling. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, hit the like button so more Chiefs fans can find this. Always helps. Double D said, yep, he put the tweet in there for you guys who didn't see it. Well, there you go. That's what he said. I think it was because he's not too happy. Planet Moolah says, y'all need to trade Patrick Mahomes for Brock Osweiler. Is Brock Osweiler even on an NFL roster? I truly have no idea. Can I be a mod? Yeah, I've actually thought about adding a mod. I just wasn't ever sure if I needed one or if anyone would be willing. But hey, if you want to be a mod, I'm more than happy to make you one if you want to jump in whenever I have live chats. But if you want to set that up, you can actually DM me on Twitter at ShowMeFB. Go ahead and do that. And we can talk more about it because I actually forget how it is that you set up a mod. If you know, let me know. But yeah, if you're interested in that, hit me up on Twitter. We could definitely work something out. Sorry, Raiders fan. They aren't getting any better this year, bro. They lost too many good players. That's kind of how I feel. It just seems like they had a decent year, and then they just said, we're not doing this, and went in the completely wrong direction. I love the Blues, but we're losing in the first round. Let's be real. I'm not a big hockey guy. You guys can duke that out. But you guys got your Stanley Cup in 2019 at least. Waited 50 years for it. I love how the Bucks get the easiest schedule, and we get one of the hardest. We actually, according to, I think it was ESPN, ESPN, we have like the 11th toughest schedule. So we're kind of in the middle of the pack there. We actually had one of the harder schedules last year, but yeah, it is kind of bull how the Buccaneers get one of the easiest schedules, although it's completely by chance because it's a rotating schedule. They don't just randomly give the Buccaneers games, so it's not like it's rigged or anything, but it is kind of screwy how the Bucks do get one of the easiest schedules. But LOL. Oh well. LOL Planet. It would take someone giving us a planet for the Chiefs to trade him away. Yeah, I wouldn't even give him away for like 10 first-round picks. Voodoo says Kando will be the nickel edge, more pass rush than Dana, but better against the run. Yeah, he definitely has the tools too. Than Taco. They gave Dana some solid play time as a rookie. I think Kando could be the same, though. He's raw. Yeah, Kando, he's got the physical upside needed to be a good defensive end in this league. Like, look, if he reaches his full potential, he could be a really good defensive end. I mean, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He had one of the best relative athletic scores among defensive ends in this draft. If he reaches his full potential, he could be really good. This one's going to be up to the coaching staff, though, to try and develop him as much as possible. Nathan says, I wanted Diami Brown so bad, but I don't know. Wasn't a huge fan of smaller linebackers. I got to say, I'm going to swallow that one since I saw a little Devin White in him. Yeah, I wanted Diami Brown too, man. I was calling for him with both picks, and the Chiefs passed on him. Not too happy about that since he went to Washington. They're kind of loaded at receiver now. They got Brown, Terry McLaurin, and Curtis Samuel. That's a heck of a group right there. But yeah, I'm super happy with the Nick Bolton pick, and he definitely is going to be a nice duo going with Willie Gay for years to come. We finally got our own Devin White and Levante David in a way. So that's nice. Lego My Ego says, oh, did I scroll down too far? Yeah, he says, what do you think about Maurice French, wide receiver number 89 from Pitt? Yeah, I keep forgetting about him. Honestly, it's hard to always consider the UDFAs. But yeah, I mean, the dude's got a ton of speed. It'll be interesting to see if he takes a step forward and maybe becomes a contributor this year. But I do like the guy, and he seems pretty positive on Twitter. So I just like him in general. But yeah, he's got a lot of speed. He's got a chance, man. We'll have to see. I'm a Nebraska fan, and we got DiCaprio out of as a UDFA. He's a high flyer and could be a good special teams player. Yeah, man, I hope it works out. It's a good thing anytime a UDFA works out. I'd love to talk ball with you. I've been tagging you and interacting with you a lot. Voodoo, yeah, definitely. Me too, man. I love talking football, especially anytime I come on Twitter. So, man, it's fun. I'm a football junkie as well. Always talking about it. That's why we're doing the live chat, man. But yeah, I love talking football too. Yeah, and I appreciate hopping on Twitter and having stuff to talk about. So, Nebe. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Nabai? I think I'll go with Nabai. I think that's right. Facts, bro. You're 100% right. The Raiders always find a way to regress, especially in the second half of the season. Our O-line was solid, but we wanted to get younger, so I'm not too mad about it. Yeah, and they did draft Alex Leatherwood, and even though the pick was a little bit of a reach, I still like Leatherwood. Even though he's a reach, you're probably still getting a sure thing out of him. And yeah, it's just frustrating. I'd be frustrated if I was a Raiders fan. I'm not sure the whole operation Mayock and Gruden got going on over there. And it's interesting because, man, Gruden, you guys are really tied up with that Gruden contract because he still has not made the playoffs since becoming the Raiders head coach. Meanwhile, you look at Andy Reid and the Chiefs. He took over a 2-14 team in Kansas City and made the playoffs the very next year with them and won a Super Bowl with us just last year. And yet Gruden can't even make the playoffs. So I'd be pretty frustrated if I was a Raiders fan. Alex Schultz says, Bucks get that schedule. They beat our ass. We'll have to see if they make it back to the Super Bowl. Even though the Bucks, I do think the Bucks are still going to be really good. I think they have to be the favorite right now to make it back out of the NFC. However, you do have to remember that it took a lot of luck for them to even make it back. They caught fire at the right time. Jared Cook, if he doesn't drop that pass in the NFC divisional round, the Buccaneers lose that game. If Kevin King isn't an idiot, they lose to the Packers in the NFC Championship. And if the Chiefs have, any resemblance of an offensive line in the Super Bowl, they probably lose that game too. So even though the Bucks, I think, will still be really good next year and have a good chance to make it back to the Super Bowl, I had to remember all of those things. I heard that we got the 5th hardest schedule. I read 11th, although I'm not really too concerned. If you look at the beginning, yeah, we face a lot of playoff teams. Browns, Ravens, and Chargers all in the first 3 weeks is going to be tough, but the rest after that isn't really too difficult, so I'm not afraid. And, you got to beat good teams to be a good team, so yeah. Since they traded for Mike Hughes, does Brett Veach turn his attention to a veteran edge rusher next? Jermaine, I hope so, man. I really hope they address defensive end, and hopefully addressing Mike Hughes allows them to focus on that. So we'll have to see. Joshua raising Kando is going to be a monster. I hope you're right. Cosmo says, peace out. See you next time, man. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Just wanted to repeat that again. Liking the video makes it rank higher in search results, so that really helps. And you can always support the channel by sending a super chat as well. Voodoo says, I wanted Carlos Basham at 58. A lot of people like Basham, and I liked him too. I wouldn't have had a problem with him at 58. Then sign KJ Wright, but I like Bolton too. Yeah, they could still sign KJ Wright too to play that like Sam role if they wanted to, since Nick Bolton isn't really a Sam. Andy Reid said Bolton can play all 3 linebacker spots, but I'm kind of skeptical of that, even though I love Bolton. We'll have to see, though. Noah Gray is my favorite pick. I feel he could develop behind Kelsey nicely. Yeah, all the way back at the beginning of the offseason, I actually mocked Noah Gray to the Chiefs, and I said, you know what? This guy seems a lot like Travis Kelce. Like, he runs really nice routes. He's got soft hands. He's a fluid athlete. Sinks his hips very well, can get in and out of his breaks. He's got a lot of similarities to Kelce, almost a Travis Kelce light. And I think Travis Kelce is going to have a lot of fun taking Noah Gray under his wing and developing him into a nice tight end too, who can catch the ball. So I definitely agree. And he's one of my favorite picks as well. Nathan Cunningham says, I really like the Kando pick. A lot of fans I have talked to has said they think he is the next K-Pass, but he's a lot smarter and he's a better athlete than K-Pass. Yeah, he had a better relative athletic score than K-Pass as well. And I also think he's just a better football player, a better prospect than K-Pass. K-Pass came out of Villanova, which is not a big football school at all. And again, Kando was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. I think he's the better football player than K-Pass and can definitely be the better pro, has the better potential. Nabai says, but we released some of our alignment to create cap space so we can improve the D. If that D is still pathetic, then the Raiders don't stand a chance. Yeah, and like I said, they drafted a lot of defensive backs too. So I definitely think their secondary will have a lot of competition and could end up being pretty good. But yeah, we'll have to see. Nathan says, the Bucs have an asterisk by that win. Trash O-line and our rush couldn't get there. We lost in the trenches with major injuries. Yeah, the Bucs still deserve the Super Bowl, but yeah, if they were to meet up and both teams were fully healthy, I definitely think the Chiefs win pretty easy. Bob says, yo, what's up, Bob? The more I watch Powell, and his RAS is also similar, I see Jeremy Maclin and an NFL-ready player who could contribute faster than Conley or Robinson did, and he's a stud on special teams. Yeah, Cornell Powell, another one of my favorite picks. Cornell Powell, he's a good route runner, good hands, really physical, could compete for that X role right away. Jeremy Maclin is an interesting comparison. I think he compares to Sammy Watkins in a lot of ways too. I'm really excited for him. And really, besides Clemson having a garage full of 5-star wide receivers, I'm not sure what was keeping Cornell Powell from being a top 100 pick. I'm serious when I say that. Like, he really broke out in that last year. He didn't complain. He was buried on that Clemson depth chart, finally got a chance to play in 2020, and he made the most of it. He was super good. Yeah, I like that pick a lot, and I really hope he develops into our number 2 receiver. We'll have to see, though. Bob Ross asks, where do you think Richard Sherman will sign? I think he'll ultimately go back to San Francisco or maybe go back to Seattle, one of those teams. Answering that from the Chiefs' point of view, I don't think the Chiefs are interested in Sherman, no, especially not with the Mike Hughes move they made today. The Noah Gray pick had me scratch my head. I thought he was a 6th-round pick, but I got to say, I went back and watched his film and kind of broke it down. I'm happy the Chiefs traded up and got him. Yeah, I really like Noah Gray. He's got a lot of similarities to Travis Kelce for sure. Do I think he's going to be Travis Kelce? No, but can he be someone that can give Kelsey a breather and replicate a lot of what he does and run some of those shorter routes and get you a first down? Absolutely. And he can be a nice little red zone target too, make up for some of that production you lost in Sammy Watkins. Because you got to remember, you can't just think of him as a tight end. You got to think of him as a pass catcher. And so many people, when they complain about not having that wide receiver too, you got to remember, well, they did pick up a pass catching tight end, which, affects that. So yeah, I really like the pick. Nathan also says, Bob, I think Sherman goes back to the Niners. Yeah, that's like what I said. And I'll go a couple more minutes and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But I appreciate all of you joining tonight. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate it. We got a nice crowd here tonight. Appreciate everyone joining. And you can always support the channel by leaving a super chat. But Lego My Ego says, I like the Austin Edwards defensive end pickup. I think he's going to surprise everyone. 6'5", 280 pounds. Was that one of the undrafted free agents? I would have to go back and look. Let me know. But if so, I can take a look at him and maybe make a video going a little bit more in depth on some of the Chiefs undrafted free agents. Bentley says, I absolutely love the Powell pick. I really feel like he's going to be a stud in the offense and we need his physicality. Do wish we got Damian Brown, but we going to be whoops. What the heck is happening to my tab? But we're going to be more than good. Yeah, I love the Cornell Powell pick too, like I said. And the thing with Cornell Powell too is I don't want to be that fan that's like too high on my own team's draft picks, but I really do feel like he can compete for the wide receiver 2 role right away. I really do. I think he's that talented. I think he was someone who truly was just stuck behind the depth chart, or stuck towards the bottom of the depth chart at Clemson, just because they recruit so many good receivers. So yeah, I'm really excited about him. Even the Chiefs scouting director said that Cornell Powell can be the Chiefs post-up receiver, a bigger red zone target. He's got good size, just over 6 feet, closer to 200 pounds. I mean, have you seen pictures of the dude? Like he's rock up. He's really strong. Can definitely he's already pretty successful at beating press coverage, good route runner. I'm super excited for him. Absolutely. And also I think Lewis Reddick said, I think it was Lewis Reddick on the draft broadcast said that he thinks that Powell can pick up right where Sammy Watkins left off. So we'll have to see. That's high praise, man. Lego My Ego says, yeah, he's a UDFA. Okay, cool. I'll have to definitely look into him. There's some that I haven't looked into. Marlon Characters, one that a lot of Chiefs fans like. Who's another one? They just picked up a cornerback from Marshall today. Yeah, I'll have to do more research on them and maybe make a video on them. And then Nathan, I'll probably end it here. He says, this has been a fun live chat, Josh. I like these chill ones where where the host can answer all the questions. Thanks. You did a great job. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, I like doing these just where we can talk football and I answer questions and all that good stuff. It's super fun. And I'll definitely do more of these in the future, especially since we got a nice crowd in here tonight. Okay, I'll do these last two right here, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Nathan says, I'd be interested in helping you out in any way that I could. Yeah, I appreciate that. Like you said, if any of you are interested in being a mod, you can hit me up on Twitter at ShowMeFB. I believe I left it in the description. So that would be a huge help. And you can also support the channel by sending a super chat too, although I'm not going to beg you guys for that. But yeah, and then you can always help me by simply being subscribed and watching my videos. That's the #1 way to help, of course. Voodoo says, I think cornerback is the biggest need, but edge is interesting too. And I've talked a lot about trading Ward, but it's only because he's not a scheme fit. Yeah, because like Dan Harms from RGR Football, who I know you watch too, and I'm a big fan of RGR Football, he mentioned the fact that Ward is someone that's better in press man coverage, man-to-man, but the Chiefs don't let him do that a whole lot, and it puts him in tough situations, even though I bag on Ward a lot. Like, yeah, sometimes the Chiefs kind of misuse him, but the cornerback group, it's a lot of question marks right now, but it's a lot of guys that if they end up panning out, then they could have one of the better cornerback groups in the league. A lot of potential, though. We'll have to see what other additions they possibly make. Cornerback's also a position that I think the Chiefs can address with one of those veteran cuts from another team. I think someone might get cut that the Chiefs don't expect that they might go out and get as well. And then last one here from Lego My Ego. What do you think we will do with Blake Bell? Is he going to make the 53 or is he going to be a camp body? I think he's going to make the 53. He's still a really good blocking tight end, can do a little bit of everything. I think the one that's in trouble is Nick Keiser. I don't know if he makes the roster anymore. Even though the coaching staff has shown to like him, I I think he doesn't do enough better than Blake Bell for the Chiefs to justify letting go of Blake Bell. I think Nick Keiser's the one in trouble. I think Blake Bell will still do solid work for this team and be a good blocking tight end. And I think they missed him last year. So yeah. So that's all I got for tonight, guys. Thanks again for those of you that joined. Really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll make sure to do another one of these really soon because love talking football with you guys. But that's all I got for today, guys. Peace.